everything. Hopefully make everything quite clear for you guys. So if any of you in the audience are also guitar players, let me know. I would also be happy to address some specific questions. And yeah, I'll try to cover all of this in about 10 minutes. Then after that, we'll have our 10-minute gaming segment, and then the final... how many songs we have? Like 3, I think? Yeah, and then the final 3 songs after that. So right around 6 hours and change something, however many. So let's see. With the alternate picking, what would you like me to start, Connor, specifically? Because I do have an idea of what to cover, but yeah, give me like a particular question about it. Like, what exactly do you want me to start with? And then I'll build an entire thing around it. Because I have a few topics in my mind, a few points rather, that I would like to cover about this. I mean, well, yeah, for alternate picking it might be, unless you play with a pick on bass, there might still be some, you know, relatively useful things that I might explain. I'm not sure, but yes, either way, let's see what we got. So let's start with a specific direction and go from there. So how do you decide when to use different types of picking? So when you say, Connor, different types of picking, do you mean like when you have to pick up and when you have to pick down, this kind of thing? Like, yeah, if I go onto a close-up, are you referring to like exactly when you have to do like a downstroke and when you have to do up, right? This kind of thing. Okay. Ooh, this is gonna be fun to explain. All right, I'm just gonna stay on this camera for a little bit so you guys can, follow along what I'm doing a bit more closely like this. Okay. So yeah, it really is quite specific actually. I'm so happy you're asking this exact question because this probably is the hardest, the hardest thing to really grasp when you're first starting with alternate picking, because it really feels like certain sequences, certain numbers of notes just don't flow naturally when you play like, let's say, 3 notes on a string, and then you have to switch to another string. It just feels like there's a bit of awkwardness with the way your pick moves between them, because you're not really sure what pick stroke exactly, whether to go up or down, and it can be really trippy. And yeah, so I'll just quickly describe how I basically started out and what my journey has been. Hopefully it will help you out with certain specifics about it. So initially when I started learning alternate picking, I obviously just did it on one string, and I was doing it as a part of the of learning the pentatonic scale, so specifically good old A minor pentatonic, that sort of thing. Let me just switch to a slightly more pleasant tone on this. Hang on, let me just... there we go. And so the idea was, when you have 2 notes on a string, let's say we have, right here we have A and we have a C, so frets 5 and 8, and I would just practice this kind of thing, exactly. I would practice going down and then up, basically. So just 2 notes on a string. When it's a sequence like this, just 2 notes, it's really simple. You can't really mess it up, it's just down, up. Very simple, right? And then when you're doing, let's say you want to extend that particular 2-note sequence to 4 notes, meaning to do another 2 notes on the adjacent string, so we're going... That also seems very intuitive, because basically if you start on a downstroke, then it's followed by an upstroke, and then on the next string it's also downstroke, upstroke. So it's really simple like this. If I just close up for you, yeah, it really is just down, up, down, down, up. So I'm just exaggerating the motion a little bit so you guys can really see it. Down, up, down, up. And for the rest of the pentatonic scale, which again is probably the first scale any guitar player will learn, it really follows the same idea. You just go down, up, down, up. And the same idea when you go up the scale. You just start again on the downstroke, so down, up. That's really, with 2-note sequences, I feel like it really is not that complicated. The pattern always repeats. But then, and this is very common for guitar players, and this is just how we tend to play in a lot of genres, you get introduced to 3 notes per string. There's a lot of ways to play scales on guitar that specifically utilize 3-note per string patterns. I'm talking, let's say, if we want to stay in the same position, let's say we want to do a little bit of A minor scale. And so immediately you would have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So that's the entire A minor scale. And as you can see here, it gets a little bit different, because you see, you have down, up, down, and then you suddenly have an up. And if you remember, the previous string we started on a downstroke, so it's down, up, down, but here you have to do up, down, up. And then here again, it's down and up. And this is where I feel like most people start having trouble with alternate picking, because you have to get used to that. It's not just whenever there's a new string you do a downstroke. No, you actually have to be able to do whatever stroke you need to do depending on what the previous one was, if that makes sense. So let's say your sequence ended on, it ended on down, down, up, down. That means the next one has to be up. And vice versa. If you started on up, down, up, that means next one has to be down on the new string. And the reason I'm putting so much attention, focusing so much on this particular aspect, is because it's exactly the string switching that gets people really tripped up, like when you have to move on to a new string. So if you're used to only going down, up, the first time you suddenly have to play from down here on the 6th string to up here on the A string, it feels really strange. You kind of have a muscle memory to just go, and then you go down again, right? So it's like kind of like down, up, down, down, up, down. But this would technically have its own utility. There is a technique that you can also do in order to continue using a downstroke on the new string basically every time. But the idea, of course, if you want to be truly versatile, and if you want to really be able to move it around on the guitar without feeling much limitation in that sense, you gotta be able to basically use any upstroke at any point without having to think about it. And that can be achieved, let me get into specific exercise for this. Really, it's, hang on. A three-note pattern on one string, 3-note on the other, so that means a 6-note pattern in total. So let's say we're gonna do this exactly in A minor still. We're just gonna take the upper part of the A minor scale on guitar. So that means we have our 5th fret, 6th fret, and 8th fret on the B string. And then we have our 5th fret, 7th, and the 8th on the E string. So it's again 5, 6, 8, 5, 7, 8. That is the kind of pattern. The reason I'm not doing it as, for instance, just like a symmetrical pattern, let's say just 5, 7, 8 on both strings. It is also useful, but I want to focus on something that's a little bit trickier, so that you immediately have to utilize all 4 fingers within the pattern. So because you see, here you have first finger, second finger, pinky, and here you have first finger, ring finger, pinky. So it's a little bit trickier, a little bit better for your brain to really get used to doing it as you will be doing it in real life situations, basically. So here we go. In this situation, if we start this sequence on the downstroke, we have down, and then up here. Up, down, up on the next string. So again, down, and then up, down, up. And you see that it's an interesting challenge here is to then go back, so when you play it all the way, and then also start back to the B string and play the sequence again. So this is how you will get used to that particular string switch from here. So down to up, so down here, up here. That kind of motion will get very, very natural to you if you just keep practicing this particular fragment. By starting on the downstroke once again, yes. But of course, this is only one half of the story, really, and I'm about to cover the other half. And it's really nothing too complicated. You see, all this entire gamut of different picking motions can be learned essentially within one exercise, and that's what I'm going to show you. So it's the exact same pattern, just start it on an upstroke. Instead of going down, start up, down, up. And then what you have here between the 2 different strings is up, and then you have to go down here. And notice how different my right hand is actually moving when this happens. So look, when I'm starting on a downstroke, look at the motion of the wrist on the right hand. So starting on down, and then starting on up. You see that? It's kind of doing a bit more of a circular motion like that when I'm starting on the upstroke, and when I'm starting on down, it just kind of goes straight. It kind of cuts a little bit more, if you will. There is a reason for that as well. I'm not sure if I should cover that already immediately in this tutorial because it's a whole other topic. But basically, Connor, if hopefully this helps, you already have the basics for what you're supposed to start with, what you're supposed to do. Just try to summarize. Try to focus at first on just playing 2 notes on a string. Get used to just up down, or down up. Sorry, down up, down, however you want exactly. Or starting on upstroke. just to get used to how it feels. Then gradually get to three notes per string. Exactly, maybe just do a sequence like that. And then eventually transition to doing this kind of pattern. So 3 notes on one, 3 notes on the other. And see how it feels to play it starting on the downstroke and then starting on the upstroke. And you will notice there are certain things that will seem more natural, certain things that will seem less natural. And from there, I can guide you a bit further because it really depends from person to person what they will find more, just more appealing to them immediately, what will feel like it just clicks, certain things will not click. But the ultimate goal, of course, is to be able to just, whatever pick stroke is coming your way, if you will, to be able to just play it flawlessly without having to think about it so much. It can be really tough sometimes. Even to me, I still struggle with that on occasion. If the sequence is particularly tricky, it has like a really odd number of notes on one string, different number of notes on the other. It can be, it can still be a challenge. But there are ways to get around that as well. I just feel like it would be a little bit beyond the scope of this initial kind of lesson. So there you go. Hopefully that was helpful. So start slow, start on a single string, get used to picking 2 notes on one string, 3 notes on one string, then gradually expand to 2 strings with 2 notes, 2 strings with 3 notes, and then see how those pick strokes feel based on what's comfortable to you, essentially.